these different platforms. I'm so excited to be talking to you all about something that I love, and that is, first of all, living internationally and being able to work internationally. That is a passion of mine. And I'm always telling people about my experience, and I'm so excited to be sharing my experience with you all tonight. So let's go ahead and get started. I think that we are live on all the platforms. Thank you all for joining. Um, God put this whole thing on my heart to do. I literally was walking. I was doing I don't know if it was the morning walk or if it was a walk in the afternoon. And God was like, you just need to go live and talk to people about your experience. And that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to briefly introduce myself, and then I'm going to talk to you about why I left teaching in the US. And bear with me, I have notes, and I'm looking at three different screens. And just bear with me because I wanted to try to go live on all these different platforms, and I realized that I don't have enough devices to do all of this. I had one more device, and then I didn't have like TikTok downloaded on that. So I'm not going live on TikTok. I may do it. I may still do it at some point, but right now I'm just on these platforms. And thank you all for joining. I'm Kimberly Braxton. I am your dedicated life transformation strategist. And since 2022, I've been thriving abroad. I moved to Abu Dhabi in 2022 in the United Arab Emirates. I always say it's an hour and some change from Dubai because people tend not to know that Abu Dhabi and Dubai are in the same country. And currently, I live in Belo Horizonte, Brazil, and I'm excited about the possibility of helping you land your dream job in the amazing country of your choice. And since 2011, I've been passionately guiding women like you towards their goal. And it might be some men joining tonight. I love you all too. I primarily work with women, so I am speaking to the women tonight. You are welcome to stay, but understand that I generally work with women. So I've been helping women towards their goals since 2011. And why do I do this? Because I've walked that path myself, overcoming the obstacles and the barriers. Yeah, I've been there. And today I'm living my dream life internationally. So let's talk about, why did I leave teaching in the first place in the US? Right? Let's make that clear because I still teach. The workload is often unsustainable in the United States. It's for teachers, especially for teachers. If you do your research and look up the most stressful jobs, you're going to see teachers and you're going to see nurses. These are the most stressful jobs out of any profession. And the workload is one of the biggest reasons I left. Lack of resources, large class sizes. It requires a lot of emotional demand because, throughout the day, I was dealing with a lot of toxic behaviors, not just from the students, sometimes from the adults. So it required a lot of emotional demand. Sometimes it requires some physical demand. It just depends on what subject you teach. And then I just felt like I was on a hamster wheel, like, just every day, day in and day out, in this big rat race, and it just was never ending. So that was one of the reasons, an unsustainable workload. And then lack of support. Like, often I didn't have the support or the backing of the admin when it came to the parents. They sometimes just weren't there in a supportive capacity. And so I felt like I was just out there on my own. Um, I used to do international trips with my students, and we usually got the support of the school district to do that. They provided insurance, they provided the support and the approval. And once they stopped like doing that, and when I like, and this is in Richmond, Virginia, this was in Maryland. I didn't experience that in Maryland, but I'm willing to bet that they may not provide that same support now with all that's happening in the world. But once they stop providing that type of support, then I stopped doing the international trips because I didn't want to have that full liability on myself, right? Or have to rely on the travel company and not have the support of the school. I just didn't want to put my personal life in jeopardy. So I had to stop doing the international trips with my students because I didn't have the backing of the school district. And then sometimes they're just unclear expectations, right? Miscommunication, lack of communication, that is an issue. One particular year, I started off with one administrator as my supervising administrator, which means that administrator would, hey, people are waving, hi, I see y'all. That would mean that administrator would provide me with feedback. They would do my observations and my full evaluation for the year. And then in mid-year, I got a new administrator who started to observe me. So sometimes I was just dealing with unclear expectations. That really was confusing for me that year. Like, because there was no communication to say, okay, well, I'm no longer your observing administrator. You now have this person. No communication was sent out to let me know. So unclear communication, unclear expectations. Then there is often low pay. Often I found myself having to use my own funds to maintain my license, right? Because teachers have to have, well, I know in Richmond, Virginia, we had to have 180 points, and you could get that by either taking two classes, or you could either get that by going to professional development, right? But a lot of this time, I was actually using my own money to pay for these classes because often the school districts would only give you a certain amount. And my classes that I was taking were more than what they were providing, right? So I'm having to come out of my own pocket to pay for training that your school district mandates that I have to have in order to renew my license, right? So they weren't paying me enough to really do that. So I would have to dip into my savings and dip in. So these are some of the reasons why I left teaching in the US. And the biggest one, this is the biggest one, stress. The overload of work, not holding the students accountable, deadlines, the unwritten rule that you got to do your work at home because I'm not giving you enough time to do your work while you're at work, right? And figuring out how to make the low pay work for my household. All of that was very stressful for me. Then, not to mention traffic. So once I did get to a point where I was working and I was making a decent amount of money, right? And that's when I was working in Washington, D.C. However, just getting back and forth to work was stressful because it was traffic, right? I find myself taking what should be a 30-minute drive, took me an hour and 15 minutes one way. So the traffic, very stressful. And just, the 20-minute lunch breaks. Like a lot of the teachers that are on here that are watching now, hey Priscilla, I see you. A lot of people who are on here right now, you can relate to that 20 or that 25-minute lunch break. Who can eat and take care of the things that you need to take care of on your break in 20 or 25 minutes? And even sometimes the kids had the same amount of time, right? 20, 25 minutes to eat lunch. The line was longer than it took them that long just to get through the lunch line. But 20 minutes, 25 minutes, that's enough time for everybody to eat. That's ridiculous, right? So this is just a little bit of the reasons. Like if I did a full laundry list, we'd be on here for hours, right? But the stress though, that I think was the biggest one for me. And I really just wanted to get out of that rat race. That was the biggest thing for me. Like I felt like I was in a rat race every day, just stressed, every day, not feeling like fulfilled. So that's why I decided to leave teaching in the US. I love teaching. Like I love my job. I believe that it is a God ordained gift for me, right? And so I didn't want to leave the profession altogether. And I know you all have been reading about like people are leaving this profession in droves, like people are leaving. And these are a lot of the reasons why people are leaving. Like they're unfulfilled, they're not being supported, they're stressed, they're overworked, they're underpaid. And then I read one article about a woman who said the time she's taken away from her family just because she can't get all her work done at work and it's affecting her family life. So she was like, I'm leaving because my family is important to me. So this is why I left teaching in the US. So those are the things that I gave up. So let's talk about the things that I have gained since I left teaching in the US. So I have a better work-life balance. I actually get my work done at work. All my work gets done at work because I have enough planning time to get my work done at work. So I have a better work-life balance. The other thing is I have no overhead. Like whenever I have a position abroad, they provide the housing, they provide the healthcare. My current job gives me grocery allowance. I get money to buy groceries at this particular job. I have They also provide us with a technology credit. So I get reimbursed for I bought a tablet and I bought a Chromebook. So I get reimbursed for that. So, there are so many perks to working abroad. Another perk that I've gained is that I have more time off. Like I have at this current job, and I'm in Belo Horizonte for anybody who just joined. I'm in Brazil. So I get so I get a whole month in like a week, 2 weeks. It's almost a whole month. It's a whole month and a few extra days, something like that, for the winter break, right? And it's not really winter here for them. Technically, like that's their summer because we're below the equator. So it's not winter break, but we get all that time off. I have I have 4 days off this month. I just had a week-long break in October. We get a lot of time off, and more time off than we do in the US. And I appreciate that. I have more opportunities to travel. Um, I'm on the continent of South America now, so I'm looking forward to traveling, in this part of the world. When I was living in the United Arab Emirates, I went to about 5 countries while I was there. I went to Oman. I went to Greece. I actually presented at a conference in Greece, which is another opportunity because we're international. So a lot of our conferences are in different places, and that's even the same here. Um, I went to Italy. I went to South Africa. I feel like I'm missing a country. But just so you know, I did quite a bit of traveling while I was living in the United Arab Emirates because it's easy to travel in that part of the world. It's very easy to travel there, right? And I also plan to travel while I'm here. I've submitted a proposal to do a presentation at the AMISA conference, which is going to be in Panama. So living in another country has opened up more travel opportunities for me. So that's one of the things that I've gained. Again, letting go of that rat race. And I think I have gained more community. Um, if you all have not read Zaretta Hammond's book, I recommend that you read it, Culturally Responsive Teaching and the Brain. There's one section in her book where she may have pulled it from a source, but she rates the countries based on individualism and collectivism. And the US rates like 98% individualism. So living in other countries has allowed me to be more in community because most of the other countries are a little bit more collectivist, mindset, more community mindset than the US. US is almost like number one on that scale in her book in regards to individualistic, right? So these are things that are important for me. One of the things that I was feeling when I was living in the US, I think I was lacking that community, right? My son, I'm an empty nester. My son is 29, so he left the house. My sister, she has her own life. My brother has his wife and his family, so I was seeking community. I was seeking more community. So I found it. I found it living in another country. I found it when I was living in Abu Dhabi. We had a great um, network. We called ourselves the ABC. um, it just was a stronger community. And here, I also feel it. This is new for me because I've only been here since July, and I'm still learning a lot about Brazil. However, I can feel the community mindset here. So I'm gonna stop and see if you all have any questions, and then I want to also see if I have. I think I saw her. I want to pull. Um, I want to pull. Malika, can you request to get on camera? Do you know how to do that? It should be like a little camera on your screen, and you click it. I would love for you to get on and talk about your experience. All right, thank you. So my other friends might not be able to see this, except, okay, there you go. Hey, Malika.
Hey.
How are you?
First time. I'm trying to. Sorry.
It's okay.
How are you?
I'm doing well. So I want to talk to you about first of all, what drew you to teach internationally? Why, like, what was it going? What was it that was going on in the U.S. for you, and what drew you to teaching internationally?
So there were a lot of things that happened. Mainly, I had things in my personal life that were happening that I just kept hitting brick walls in. I felt like everywhere I was trying to advance in my career or trying to do different moves, I just kept getting rejections left and right. I felt like there was no room for me to grow, so I needed to expand out of the city I wanted to. So I thought about trying different states because I'd never lived outside of the state of Tennessee before.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, but if I'm going to move far away, then what's the possibility of not, going elsewhere out? Also, just looking at the dynamics of being in the classroom. I was in the classroom in Metro Nashville for 6 years, the first 6 years of my teaching career.
Okay.
And actually, at the time of me leaving, it got so chaotic with the way that teachers were disrespected that there was a mass movement, and teachers called out sick. And the movement was teachers protesting that we are sick of low pay. We had just gotten passed up for being promoted, getting like our step and pay again. I had never experienced like a pay step in the 6 years I had worked in the district.
What?
And they put a freeze on it, and so that had continued throughout. And I just got tired of just always being. I felt like teachers were the last of the totem pole for everything. So,
wow.
A friend of mine actually suggested that I move to Dubai, and I actually went off on her because I felt like, no, I'm not trying to leave my community. It's for me to pour into here. Like, this is where I need to be.
Right.
And when I vented to another friend about it, she says, no, you need a fresh start. Your personal life needs a radical change. Your career life needs a radical change. And moving abroad is the best way to do this reset because you can really recreate you. So it's more so just like an identity reset, I guess, in a sense of the reason why I decided to change and try something different, be open-minded about seeing the possibilities of what was more out there.
It's funny, you said the disrespect. I hope that our friends have heard you, like our friends on Facebook and on YouTube. Hopefully they heard you speaking, but you mentioned the disrespect, and I forgot to even talk about that. Like, toxic behavior from adults and kids. I don't know if I mentioned that, but disrespect was a big part of that. A big part. And literally there were times where I could hardly teach because of the behavior, the behavior that was going on in the hallways, okay? The hallways, the classroom. I mean, really honestly, it was some places where I have taught were that difficult to actually get through a lesson. Yeah. One of them was in Richmond City, in the city limits of Richmond, Virginia. And when I tell you that school was like Lean on Me, like that movie, like it literally was like that. It literally was like that. And I'll never forget one school that I taught at in Richmond where the students, there was a fight taking place, and the students literally locked arms in a circle, and we could not get in to stop the fight. The security could, nobody could get in there to stop the fight. Okay. So yes, I get what you're saying. The whole pay thing, not getting a raise in 6 years is mind boggling to me. That is mind boggling. I remember one time I went to city council in Richmond, Virginia, and this one we were basically trying. We were all like basically rallying for more pay, right? One teacher got up there, a kindergarten teacher, and said that she spent like $2,000 of her own money so that she could make her classroom what she believed her students deserved. I've spent my own money too on my kids. You know what I mean? And then one other thing you said, Malika, I think a lot of teachers feel, especially the ones who work in the inner city, we, it's like almost like a martyr. It's almost like that, right? We think that they need us, we need to leave. We don't need to leave because they need us, right? Um, I had to let that go because I was doing myself more harm with that mindset, right? And then when I finally did get a chance to teach in, because Malika and I both taught at the same school in Abu Dhabi, I was like, these kids need us just as much, right?
Yeah.
These kids need us just as much. All the kids need a good teacher, period. Every child in the world needs a good teacher.
And I felt like moving abroad, I felt like they needed to see a Black American woman presence. They needed to see me. They have never experienced this before, and this is an honor for them to be able to experience this, just as if they were to come over here and give our students the best education and culture that they know. It would be a great exposure.
Yes.
So yeah, that was very hard to be able to, say, leave my community and turn away. But one thing I realized after moving abroad and then being able to be away, it took 2 years for me to heal from the trauma that I went through in the classroom in the United States.
You never shared that with me. So it took 2 years for you to heal from the trauma that you experienced teaching in the United States.
Yes, I didn't realize there was trauma.
Yeah.
But then once I came and everything was silenced because the chaos back home that might be happening or that might not be happening, like they can't contact me because I'm on a different time zone. I'm 28 hours through a flight away. We have like 6 different continents in between us. There's no way that like I can be the first person to be called on. So it was really like a divine isolation in a sense, because it allowed me to be able to just focus on pouring on me, like pouring into me.
Right.
Going back into like taking out money in my own paycheck. I was budgeting for my classroom. So $200 of my check every month was being taken out of my check of what I did to pour back into my classroom. And I didn't have to do that overseas. Like my students' parents paid for whatever they needed. They know education is number one.
Yep.
They value education. They didn't mind paying, they paid for tutoring. Like, what else can my child do to read better, to write better, to learn better? And they invested in their children's education. And so I didn't have to come out of pocket for anything. If anything, they helped sponsor me. I was blessed to be their president. And so, being able to take that time and just be able to realize, like, oh my gosh, I thought this was normal, but it was really chaos I was living in, and I need to heal from this after I process it.
Yeah.
And that entire epiphany and healing process, it took place simultaneously, like with the grief processes of letting it go and then healing from it and realizing new revelations as I kept going through different ways of education. It took the first 2 years of me in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, I see that my sorority sister Georgette Green Hognet, she said the trauma is real. The trauma is real. I left one job because it was so toxic. I finished out the year, but I didn't renew my contract. I knew I was going to have to leave that place because it was so toxic. It was so toxic. The trauma is real. And then, when you get somewhere that's actually sane, when you finally get to a school that's actually sane and it's being run well and the students are actually tuned in and engaged, I think that's when I realized that my trauma was real. So that's when I left the school in Richmond, and then I went to teach in Washington, D.C. at a all-boys school, and it was such a breath of fresh air because I actually had planning time, and I actually had smaller classes, and I actually was able to get through my lessons, and it was a great transition for me to go through to international teaching, because that last school was so traumatic. So I can relate.
And for me, I get that, with education, not saying it's excusable, but kids are going through trauma at home. So they're bringing their mess from home, from other adults, and communicating and bringing that into the classroom. So I did, of course, as teachers know, we do understand that we will be expecting the trauma from the students, because if nothing else, it's an overflow from what they're receiving. And it's our job to teach them the best that we know how to respond, how to communicate, things of that nature, and to correct them. That's why they're at school, to learn, for us to teach them, not just academics, but with just moral education in general. I think my biggest healing process behind it goes back to what you said with the lack of support with admin. It's the lack of accountability that they were given when these students were being aggressive in the hallway, being aggressive with me when it's time for me to collect the cell phone, pushing me out the way when I'm trying to call admin for help about different situations, throwing garbage cans across the classroom, and when it's time to discipline them, throwing it under the rug, but then they're leaving the school and still ended up in prison or dead. And I felt like there was so many students who had so many avoidable deaths or imprisonment. And I blame the school system and things that I have seen for my own eyes. And that was heartbreaking to watch, because I was like, it started at this point where it could have been supported better. Even parents calling the school, like, we are trying to get help with our child's behavior.
Right.
We don't know how else to do this. What resources do you all have for us?
Right.
And it's just some of those admin were just too lazy to do what they needed to do for the betterment of the child.
Absolutely, I agree. Them not holding the students accountable, it compounds the trauma. It builds it up, because they're not holding them accountable. And we do what we do in our classrooms. And I know you, like, you're the kind of educator, if you call on an administrator, it's because it's, at this point, it's serious, right? Because I know you handle your own stuff, and I try to handle my own stuff too. So if I call on an administrator, it's because I actually need your support now. And a lot of times I didn't get the support. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't understand, but one thing I can tell you, what I can tell you right now is, I feel like I'm sitting here typing up an email to my principal about a student, something that happened in the classroom, and I feel like I pressed send and boom, he was at the door. Like, that's what I have now. Okay. I was like, I didn't even think he was there for the reason why I emailed, because he got there so fast. I was like, maybe he's here to do an observation. I've never experienced that before, Malika. Like, I was like, I'm telling you, as soon as I pressed send, I swear it's like 1 minute later, he was at the door to deal with the situation. Okay. So that's what I have now. That's what I have now. Make sure everybody understands that's what I'm dealing with now. I have a supportive administration. Supportive. Okay. They don't play with these kids.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that's what we left, that's what I left behind. I know you're back in the US. I hope that things are going well, that you have the support that you need now.
Yes. Now, I will say that I am in a lot better situation at my school now than what I've ever experienced in the States. Of course, I was in Nashville first, so now I'm home in Chattanooga. And this is, I will say, the best support that I've received in any of my schools in my whole 12 years of education.
That's good.
But also, our community is very strong as well. So there are a lot of community leaders who have come back to the school to be able to give back and to be able to push in to help the discipline and to sustain the school and the student body.
Okay.
That's one thing that this school is known for being just pushing into the community and making sure that the students have their support. But I will say I do miss international teaching, and inshallah, if it's in God's will, I will be back
again. That's right. I know that's right. Hopefully we'll be in the same country when you do decide to come on back. All right. Well, thank you so much, Malika. You can continue to stay, but you can go ahead and click off camera unless you want to say anything else to the people.
I just encourage you to just try it, even if it's just a 2-year contract. If you have the ability to do it, just try it. Look at it as like a 2-year vacation to yourself. Like,
I know that's right.
If you are an educator working into the United States, you can treat yourself to a 2-year vacation teaching abroad. I think that it will show you how to be a better teacher in the States for returning back and just being a better person. Like, there's nothing you will lose with
absolutely
trying it out.
Absolutely. What Tara say?
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Tara says, what she say? I get paid to be on vacation.
That part.
I love it. Yes. All right. Thank you, Malika. All right, so I'm ready for your questions, everyone. So drop your questions in the chat. If you are watching me from Facebook, from any one of my Facebook channels, you should be able to still drop it in the chat, but I am on StreamYard for my Kimberly Deneen and my Grow, Inspire, Sparkle Facebook channels. So go ahead and post your questions in the chat, and then I'm going to talk to you about something else exciting that's coming up. Well, that's going on. So what are your questions? What questions? Hey, Emily. Emily, you want to get on camera? The abundance of planning time is heaven. Yes. Yes. When you work internationally, you have plenty of planning time. Like, okay, let me tell y'all. So I'm actually co-teaching with two English teachers. My current school is a international baccalaureate school, IB school. It is the middle years program is what they have. That's the part I'm in. And so I actually co-teach with my sixth grade English teacher and my seventh grade English teacher. And we actually have common planning time so that we can actually collaborate. We have collaborative planning time. This is the first school that I have worked at where they have built that into the program. Nope, I'm sorry. I'll take that back. It's my second. It's my second school. Because when I taught in the IB program in the US, we did have common planning time. So this is only the second one though, out of my 25 years, 24 years of teaching. Okay, you're in the car. All right, Emily. All right. So I'm ready to answer your questions. I don't see any questions right now. Let me see. I'm looking through. Can you share? Okay, the pay. All right, so pay is going to be different from school to school, right? If you are seeking a position at a embassy school, okay, you can expect to have like your shipping. They will provide for that. Ooh, I gotta get my charger because I'm about to sorry y'all. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second because my computer is about to die. 1 second, 1 second. My computer's about to die. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so let me just put it like this, okay? If you are interested, if that's your primary reason, like for going into teaching internationally, then I would say there's a couple of places I would suggest that you would consider. So the Middle East, specifically Kuwait, Saudi, the UAE, Bahrain, like anywhere in the Middle East. It is possible to make a 6-figure income tax-free in the Middle East. So I would suggest the Middle East if pay is your primary focus. And when I say you're going to possibly make a 6-figure income, that does not mean that you are paying rent. Because most of the time, when you teach overseas, most of the time housing is provided. So housing, healthcare, all that stuff is generally provided. So we're talking the 6 figures on top of, what your housing is not, you're not paying for housing. I would also suggest like other parts of Asia, like Thailand, Japan. Those are China, Korea. Those are the places where you're going to make a good amount of money. And most of the time it's going to be tax-free. And then if money is not the thing, like your primary reason for wanting to teach abroad, like for me, that wasn't my primary reason. My primary reason was to get out of the rat race, to really honestly just feel more free, because I sold everything. Like I sold everything. Like, I really don't have debt. So for me, it was more about experience and just living a softer life. I wanted to live, just to have a better quality of life, and that was my primary reason. But so Green Hardnet, if the money is like one of your like primary reasons, then I would suggest those places. Let me see. Are there any more questions? More questions. Doctors too. Yeah. Camille, so um I'm not sure why you said doctors too, but um really any profession can work internationally. I'm not sure if that's what you were saying, but yeah, any profession can work internationally. You have travel nurses, you have one of our sorors that is living in the UAE. She's an engineer, and so you don't have to be a teacher. It's just that I'm a teacher, so that's who I'm speaking to primarily. So I don't know if that's what you were talking about, Soror, Camille. Let me see. Any more questions? Somebody asked about pay. I'm looking on Instagram. I don't see any questions. All right, so I'm just going to talk to you all about my newest baby called EduXit. So I decided to create this because a lot of people in my family, they still think I'm in some special program. I'm not in a special program. I literally applied for these jobs and I got them, right? I'm not in a special program. I think they might think that because I was in the Fulbright, I'm a Fulbrighter. So I'm assuming that's why they think that. I'm not real sure. But I literally searched for the jobs, applied for the jobs, and I'm living abroad, right? So but people ask me questions. I was recently just on a cruise, and I met a soror on a cruise, and she actually wants to teach abroad. And we were talking for a long time about my experience working abroad. And I just get questions. So I decided to create this EduXit. And one of the things that you can expect from EduXit is, providing clarity on your why. Like, why do you want to teach abroad? Understanding what your values are in regards to this journey, right? And to help you set some meaningful goals around that. Helping you with job search. And I'm gonna tell you all, I told y'all I was going to tell you my favorite website that I like to use to search for international teaching positions. And I'm saying teaching, but this can also include school counselors. It can also include the librarians, the media specialists, the school psychologists, like anybody in education, administrators, any position in education can work abroad. Okay. So helping you with just, understanding the whole process of applying for jobs, understanding the jargon, because we say special education, excuse me, they generally say learning support. And there are a few other terms that they use that are different. And it's important to know that when you're applying for jobs, because I kept seeing learning support and I kept seeing student support services. And I was like, I think that's SPED, but I'm not really sure. Like, So just getting clarity on these things. And then also helping you with like the interview process, which is slightly different. Um, a lot of times they're not using resumes, but CVs, understanding the difference between a resume and a CV. Cultural adaptability, understanding the culture, the language, the customs, just to help your transition smoother, helping you with a stress-free moving prep. Okay, let me tell y'all. I don't know if y'all saw my video, um, how I got my dream job and all them suitcases I had. Like, when I tell you that first time preparing to move abroad, the packing, and like I've traveled, like I know how to pack suitcases. I know how to pack. But packing to move up, to put your life in 5 or 7 suitcases is a whole entirely different thing. Okay? So helping you with a stress-free move and prepping you with like your packing and your understanding your housing and all that stuff. These are things that we will help you with. A strong support network, how to build these connections with local communities and expats. Because guess what? I am a introvert. However, I still want to be in community, right? When I want to be in community. I it's important. It's important when you're living in a whole new country, right? And there's no family around. And maybe not even your friends are around. So it's important to have a strong network and understand how to build that. Classroom readiness, getting your classroom equipped, your international classroom, right? Helping you understand the cultural norms and tips for building these relationships with students and parents and your colleagues. Enhance well-being and balance is really important to practice self-care when you are abroad, because guess what? There are going to be some times where, for me, I'll speak for me, there were times when I felt lonely, right? I wasn't necessarily alone, but sometimes I felt lonely. Mainly when like I knew all my family like was together for Thanksgiving and I'm still, in a whole nother country. So just understanding how to take care of yourself in those times and develop routines in those self-care practices, and understanding how to prioritize your mental health and your physical health so that you can thrive both in and out of the classroom. So with EduXit, you're not just prepared to teach abroad, but you're equipped to fully embrace this journey. So I'm so excited about EduXit, and this program is for you if you are an educator and you're feeling burnout. Like I definitely was there more than once in my teaching career, teaching in the US. I felt burnout. And you might want a fresh start. Moving to a whole nother country can give you that. You might have been dreaming of living abroad and just not sure like how to make that happen. You might be looking for a better work-life balance like I was. I needed a better work-life balance. And I needed more adventure in my life because I love to travel and I wanted to do more of it. And so you might be looking for opportunities that might not even be available in the United States. You might be, you want to explore teaching in a different culture, in a diverse classroom, and grow as an educator in a global setting. And you might crave a supportive community of like-minded educators who are on the same journey. If you are ready to experience cultures, languages, lifestyles while advancing your teaching career, then international teaching is for you. If you want a step-by-step guide to make your transition smooth, from finding a job to adjusting to life in a new country, if any of this resonates with you, then EduXit is for you. This is your pathway to make it happen. So EduXit is part of my new program called Sparkle Society Premium. And if you are interested in this, I would just ask that you DM me and I'll send you the link. You will easily find it once I send it to you. I'm hoping that people have more questions. I'm looking to see if there are any more questions. Hey, Sands, where is your Caprihina? Oh, Lord. Are you speaking Portuguese, Alan? Where is your Capri? Oh, is that? Oh, I think I had one of those at Madero Burger last on Monday. I need one. I need one. I need one, Sans. Yep, I had that. I had that drink on Monday. It's so good. Thank you so much, Soror. I am passionate about this. I'm very passionate about international teaching, and I'm always recommending it to other people all the time. Just checking to see if there are any more questions. Okay. How do you make sure you get into a school with proper housing and a better quality of life? How do I research this? Okay, so the first question, when you look at your job description, when you're on the website, they're going to tell you if housing is included. Now, the next thing I would do, I would take that a step further and I would make sure that I join a group where like that is of this country, and I would see if anybody knows anything about that school. Pretty much this is what I did, okay? I was in the Brothers and Sisters of Abu Dhabi or Dubai. I can't remember which one. And I was like, first of all, I asked, does anybody know anything about this school? Because I have an interview coming up. And so that's when Precious actually reached out to me and said, that's my school. And then so we started talking from there. So I think that first of all, when you read the job description, you need to see if housing is provided. If housing is provided, then you take that next step and see if you can find anybody at that school through some of the Facebook groups of the country where the school is located. That's where I would start. And I say that because I know if you reach out to somebody, they're going to give you the real deal. Okay. The real deal, give it to you straight with no chaser. So someone says, I don't know if you talked about it, but can you talk about applying early? Because international applications are a lot earlier than stateside applications. This is so true. So right now is hiring season. And this is something that I'll be talking about in EduXit through Sparkle Society Premium, because I have been trying to apply for international positions for about 5 years before I finally got hired. Excuse me, but I was applying with the U.S. mindset, right? Because we generally let our people know in April that if we're going to renew our contract, and then school systems in the U.S. generally start hiring between June, July, and have everybody already hired. However, international schools are pretty much finished hiring by maybe February. sometimes March for the following year. So right now, hiring season has just kicked off. And some schools have already hired people, right? So right now is the time to start searching if you want to have a position for the 25-26 school year. That was a good reminder. Thank you for that, Emily. All right, and then also having researched expectations. Sometimes the fairy tale of our expectations don't exist because every single school, culture, country are different. So true. If you don't, some people don't even necessarily have expectations. I didn't. I didn't going in. I just knew I wanted to leave the United States. I wanted to get out of the United States. So I didn't really have I don't think I really had major expectations, but some people may. So it's really important to try to connect with someone who either works at your school or someone who works in the city or someone who works in that country. So that's a good one. And then someone said holidays are always rough. They weren't rough with y'all because Malika, you had the Thanksgiving dinner, girl. Popping. The Thanksgiving dinner was popping. Okay. So I enjoyed our Thanksgiving times together. They have a big Thanksgiving thing that they're doing here too. All right. I saw the pay. Have you ever considered DOD teaching opportunity? Yes. So I've applied more than once. It is very difficult to get into the DOD. Okay. Yes. Sometimes, I'm not sure if you always get to choose where you go when you apply with the DOD, but I have applied with the DOD soror. I have considered that. That is definitely a something that I will be talking about in EduXit as well. I'm looking to see if there are any more questions. All right, Sands, I'll look for your message. The mental health aspect is so important. The first year is the hardest. That is true. But it wasn't that hard because we had such a really good network, Emily. Travel is the best part. I know my passport and airport hate to see me coming. LOL. Emphasis and ask during interview. Connect to employees on LinkedIn and stay in an inbox. Okay, thank you for that. Precious School has so many roles open right now. Yeah, see, that's something that I would be posting in EduXit too, Emily, because I want EduXit to be it's a course. It's going to be a course through Sparkle Society Premium. However, I'm also going to post like all those jobs that I see coming through. Building up your expat community is essential. When life happens or that homesickness hits, your community will get you through. Yeah, community is really important when you are teaching internationally. I mean, it's important anyway, right? However, it's really important when you're teaching internationally. All right, so I'm getting ready to tell you all my favorite website for finding new positions. And anybody who DMs me in regards to EduXit, I'll also send you an expat readiness checklist. So you can do this checklist to see if you're actually ready for a international teaching position. Somebody said, I miss my family, but yes, we did enjoy our time. Yeah, we did have a good time for Thanksgiving. It was a great time. All right, so hey sis, I see you Michelle Yates Johnson. That's my sister, y'all. I'm just making sure we don't have any more questions. My Caprihena. You so funny. All right, so my favorite website is free. Oh, by the way, y'all stay away from Teachaway. Do not use that website for trying to find a quality international teaching position. Okay, stay away from Teachaway. My soror had a really bad experience with that. A lot of the schools are low tier schools on there, so stay away from Teachaway. All right, so my favorite website, Emily and Malika, y'all drop in the chat what y'all think it is. It starts with a G. All right. So my favorite website for finding international positions. Let me see, did they drop it in there? All right. My favorite website for finding international teaching positions is GRC. It's the Global Recruitment Consortium. Let me make sure that's right. I'm going to make sure that's right first. GRC. If you look up GRC, it's Global Recruitment Collaborative. Okay. So if you look up GRC teacher recruitment, you will find some really great quality positions on that website. And I think both of my school directors found me on GRC. So GRC, can I type in? Let me see. GRC. I'm typing it in here. GRC is GRC fair, like a fair you go to and ride on the carousel.org. grcfair.org. Don't let that fair part fool you, because I'm telling you, they have all the good positions on there. They do actually have teacher recruitment fairs. I think they have 2 a year. You was going to say ISS, but once I said it was free, I know, because some of the websites are not free, and I'll get into all of those too in EduXit on Sparkle Society Premium. Yep, that's it. grcfair.org. And you can apply for positions on that website, and they have quality schools on there. Quality schools. So I don't think I see any more questions. And for me, it is 10 o'clock. So I am getting ready to sign off. I really thank you all for joining. Remember to DM me for the link to join Sparkle Society Premium so you can get access to EduXit. And I look forward to helping you make your international teaching journey a reality. You all have a wonderful night. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for being engaged. I appreciate you. Bye.